Good evening and welcome all of you. So in today's session, I will be discussing with you the recent flood situation in the city of Hyderabad. Over the years, we have witnessing such events of urban flooding in the cities like Chennai in 2015, or every year in cities like Delhi and Mumbai, Patna, Guwahati, and other cities, whether they are coastal or inland. So, beginning with the today's topic of the urban flooding in the city of Hyderabad. So, what happened was that there was a very heavy rainfall in this region of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, and Hyderabad region between the 13th and the 14th October. And 13th October and 13th October was said to be the rainiest day for Hyderabad in 117 years. So during this period of 24 hours from 13th October to the 14th October morning, there was 191 millimeter of downpour in the city of the Hyderabad, which created a situation of flooding in the city. And in the states of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, it resulted into a death of around 70 people and the destruction of the physical property also. So earlier, such a heavy rainfall which took place in Hyderabad was in 1903. That was 117 millimeters. So this is a new record which was created in 2020, that is 191 millimeter in a single day in the October. So actually this much of rainfall is not new for a city like Hyderabad. But what is new, that it fell into a very short period of time. So heavy rainfall do take place in Hyderabad city. But what happened during this period of October 13th and the 14th was that heavy downpour or heavy rainfall, it took place between a very short period of the time, resulting into the situation of flooding. So it is also the heaviest spell in the October ever seen in the city of Hyderabad. So what was the reason behind such a heavy downpour? Moving on to that. So let's understand that through the map first. So this cyclone or the tropical cyclone, it originated in October 11, 2020 in the North Andaman region. North Andaman. So it originated in North Andaman area on October 11th, and bolstered by the conducive atmospheric condition and the high moisture content from the sea and the conducive low pressure area, it moved toward the eastern coast of India, where it entered the coastal state of Andhra Pradesh, from there moving to Telangana and the Maharashtra, causing a very heavy rainfall during its entire course from the east coast to the west coast. Okay, so what was the reason behind such a heavy rainfall during this period, 13th to 14th October? So first is the formation of this cyclone. Actually, there are two cyclone seasons in India. First is between the March to May, before the beginning of the southwest monsoon, and second season is from the October to December, that is after the retreat of the southwest monsoon. So during southwest monsoon, these tropical cyclone, they do not originate, and during this October to December region, there are 4 to 5 cyclones. There are 4 to 5 cyclones between the October to December period onto the east coast. For example, certain cyclones like Phylline, which came in 2013, Hudud, which came in 2014, they also came into the October when the southwest monsoon was retreating. So even what is happening over these years or the last decades is that the cyclones are emerging in October to December period, even when the southwest monsoon was retreating in October. So this is a new phenomena which has emerged recently. So tropical cyclone, what happened that there was an emergence of a cyclonic condition in the North Andaman around October 11. Okay, so from there it intensified into a deep depression, that is acute low pressure condition. So cyclone originates because of the low pressure conditions. Okay, so cyclone originates because of the low pressure conditions over the sea, over ocean or sea. So these tropical cyclones, they are thermal in origin. They are thermal in origin. So they are thermal in origin, and these cyclones, they owe their origin to the warmness of the ocean. So that means there must be certain conditions which are conducive for the origination of this or creation of the tropical cyclones in the oceans or the seas. So what are those conditions? Although the exact reason behind the origin of the tropical cyclones is difficult to find out, but there are certain conditions which lead to the creation of or the formation of a tropical cyclone over the ocean. First is the sea surface temperature. Sea surface temperature of 27 degree Celsius. So this is one of the conditions for the creation of the tropical cyclone. Second is the differential heating of land and sea. So this is always the case. There is also always the differential heating of the land and the seas, because the sea, it takes a lot of time to get warmer, and it takes a lot of time to get cooler as compared to the land. Third is the presence of moisture or high vapor content in atmosphere. Vapor content in atmosphere. And the fourth is the sea surface temperature of 27 degrees Celsius and above, and differential heating of the land and sea, presence of the moisture, high vapor, and the presence of the moisture or the high vapor content in the atmosphere. And it must be around 10 degree north or south away from equator. So a tropical cyclone, in general, it moves from east to west. So that is the reason when these cyclones, they originate in the North Andaman Sea, they move toward the eastern and the western coast of India through these states. So these are the conditions. They do not originate near the equator because the Coriolis force is absent near the equator, which is essential for the curvature formation of these tropical cyclones. So these are the essential conditions: sea surface temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, differential heating of land and sea, presence of the moisture content in the atmosphere, and the their formation shall be around 10 degree north or south away from the equator, and in general they move from the east to west. So what happens after the formation of the tropical cyclone? Now we will try to understand the diameter. What is the diameter of a tropical cyclone? So diameter of a tropical cyclone is between 150 to 300 kilometers. What is the diameter of the eye of this cyclone? That is the middle part, around 20 to 30 kilometers. And in this eye, there is a clear sky. Okay. And the strongest wind, they blow around the rim of eye called eye wall. So the strongest wind in the tropical cyclone, they are around the rim of the eye, that is called the eye wall. Also, these tropical cyclones, they move with a speed of around 15 to 25 km per hour. Okay. So their diameter is between 150 to 300 kilometers. The diameter of their eye is 20 to 30 kilometers. And there is a clear sky in the eye. Also, the strongest wind that blow around the rim of the eye, it is also called the eye wall. So strongest wind are around the I region of the tropical cyclone, and the movement speed of this tropical cyclone is between 15 to 25 km per hour. So along with that, these tropical cyclones, they have cumulonimbus clouds. So these cumulonimbus clouds, dark gray clouds, and these clouds, they are responsible for the thunder and lightning and heavy rainfall. Okay, so this cumulonimbus clouds, these are responsible for thunder and lightning and the heavy rainfall in a tropical cyclone. So when a tropical cyclone lands on the land, it comes on the coast, lands on land, what happens? It decays. Why? Because the source of its energy is cut off. So when you cut off the source of the energy, that is this tropical cyclone was thermal in origin, so it owed its existence to the warmness of the ocean. So when it has come onto the land, there is differential heating of the land and the sea. So land might be comparatively cooler or warmer, or most of the time it is comparatively cooler to the land, cooler to the sea. So the source of its energy, or there may not be the higher vapor content on the land, so the source of the energy of this tropical cyclone is cut off. Also, there are frictional losses due to land. So these are the two reasons why the tropical cyclones, they lose their energy whenever they land on the land. First of the source of its energy, that is the warmness or the moisture content, they are cut off. Second is the functional or the frictional losses due to the land. So what are the impacts of this tropical cyclone on the coastal areas? So there is storm surge. Storm surge means sudden rise in the sea level. The impact of tropical cyclone. So there is a sudden rise in the sea level called as storm surge, or very heavy rainfall and strong winds blowing, causing damage to the human as well as the physical life or the physical property. So these are the impact, that is the storm surge or the sudden rise in the sea level, or very heavy rainfall and the strong winds which are blowing, which not only cause damage to the living beings but also to the physical property. So these are the impacts of this tropical cyclone. Now it would be easy to understand why this tropical cyclone, it caused such a heavy rainfall over this region. So first of this cyclone, it intensified into a deep depression, means that the acute low pressure conditions were created, and there was also availability of the higher moisture content. What happened when this cyclone landed onto the coastal areas, that means in Andhra Pradesh and moving further into the Telangana and Maharashtra, the soil in this region was already moist because of the rainfall caused due to the retreating southwest monsoon. As a result, it got more moisture. So when I told you that when the tropical cyclone, it lands on the land, it decays because the source of its energy is cut off. But in this case, the source of its energy was not cut off. There was adequate moisture which became a source for its further vapor content. Okay. Also there was vertical wind shear. That means, so vertical wind shear means there is a change in the speed and the direction of the wind with change in the altitude. So this plays a very important or influential role in the formation of the tropical cyclone. And the fourth reason is the climate change. So with the climate change, what is happening, that the intensity as well as the frequency of the natural disasters is increasing in that is the intensity and the frequency of natural disaster is increasing not only in the coastal areas but also in the interior regions of the countries. So a region may be facing a drought, or in the nearby region there may be very heavy floods. So these are core because of the climate change. So climate change is also one of the reasons because behind the heavy downpour of the rainfall in this region. Okay, so these are the four reasons. Cyclone intensifying into a deep depression. The soil was already moist, which also provided more moisture to the tropical cyclone. Third thing is the vertical wind shear, and fourth is the climate change. So these are the reasons. So now coming on to the phenomena of urban flooding. So urban flooding happens when there is a heavy downpour in the cities during a very short period of time, and as a result the situation of flooding is created in cities. And there are various reasons which are responsible for this, and these could be that the storm water drains of cities are either small in size and clogged. So these storm water drains, these structures may be decades old, and they may not be able to handle such a high pressure of water which results due to the heavy downpour in a very short period of time. Also they may be clogged. Second thing is that the concretization of the cities is also one of the reasons, because it does not allow the water to seep down into soil. So the seeping and the recharge of the groundwater is reduced because of the concretization, and the water it flows in the form of a deluge, leading to the phenomenon of urban flooding. Other thing is that the expansion of cities, rapid expansion of cities, also industrialization, it resulted in encroachment on what? Encroachment on bare land, wetlands, which were the natural recharge structures, lakes, ponds. So when the city it expanded at a very rapid pace, or the industrialization which took place at a very rapid pace, what happened that there was an encroachment either on the drainage basin of the river or the lake, or they were encroached by the builders or other people. These wetlands, lakes or ponds, they were encroached upon either for the development of the buildings or the industries. So what are the other reasons? Reduced green cover. So the reduced green cover in the cities. This is also one of the reasons behind the urban flooding incidents in the cities. Like, as we have seen, I have already given you the example of Chennai floods in 2015. For example, the city of Pune has been flooded twice in 2020. Also, what happened during 2020, that in Mumbai, the rainfall for the first 5 days of the August was so heavy that it was equal to the entire monthly rainfall during the month of August. So an entire month rainfall took place in Mumbai in just 5 days. In just 5 days of the August. So you can imagine the amount of the challenge or the pressure which would have resulted due to the such a heavy downpour within such a short period of time, heavy downpour or heavy rainfall, resulting into a situation of heavy flooding. Okay, so this is the phenomena of the urban flooding. So what can be done? How can we change the things in these cities? So as we know that most of these cities, they are now being converted into smart cities, or their transformation is taking place. So first thing is that we can adopt state of the art technology. State of art technology, whether in the form of the infrastructure. So when you design the infrastructure like roads, ports, railways, health infrastructure, it has to be done keeping in mind the hydrology of an area. It has to be ensured that such an infrastructure, it does not encroach upon the natural recharge areas. Okay, so that is the state of the art technology in infrastructure. State of the art technology for road engineering. Okay, so reducing the instances of the flooding of the roads. Also, improvement of these storm water drains. So this decades old network of the storm water drain, it should be improved, and it should be capable of handling such large pressure. So there should be storm water drain sensors. For example, they have been installed in Argentinian capital Buenos Aires and certain cities of USA. There are several cities in Japan who have their own stormwater drainage management system, because they are continuously facing this situation of flooding. So we also need to learn from them. Okay, so that is the improvement in the infrastructure, improvement in the storm water drain, and also there needs to be improvement in the forecasting system, weather forecasting system. Because if the weather forecasting system is better, improvements in weather forecasting. Also, one thing too important to note there is that we have been doing good in this aspect, humanitarian assistance and the disaster relief, but we can also improve, okay, upon this aspect of the humanitarian assistance and the disaster relief. So on the concluding note in this lecture, so around 2050, our urban population would be more than the rural population. So our infrastructure design, our urban planning, and the planning of this smart city has to be in accordance with the changing circumstances, that the population of the urban areas will increase, the pressure on the existing infrastructure will increase. So these smart cities, they have to incorporate these smart structures and the smart technology in order to meet this kind of challenges. So that is all from my side on the issue of the urban flooding. Okay, so I will meet you again in a new lecture with a new topic. If you like this video, kindly like and share it as much as possible. It would motivate me to make more videos like this. Also suggest certain improvements which I could incorporate in my lectures. So thank you for listening. I will meet you in a new lecture. Okay, take care till then.